What do you know about Julius Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon? Why is it so important? Why is it considered so symbolic? The crossing of the Rubicon River by Julius Caesar in 49 BCE is one of the most iconic moments in Roman history, symbolizing the end of the Roman Republic and the onset of a new era of autocratic rule. This decisive action led to a series of civil wars and ultimately the rise of the Roman Empire under Augustus. Caesar's decision to cross the Rubicon, a small river in northern Italy, was both a legal violation and a symbolic act of defiance against the Roman Senate. This essay delves into the historical context, the events leading up to and following the crossing, and the broader implications of this pivotal moment for Roman history and Western civilization. Historical context: the decline of the Roman Republic. The Roman Republic, which had lasted for nearly 5 centuries, was characterized by a complex system of checks and balances designed to prevent any one individual from gaining too much power. However, by the mid-1st century BCE, this system was under severe strain. The Republic faced numerous challenges, including social inequality, political corruption, and military overreach. The late Republic was marked by the rise of powerful military leaders who often wielded their legions as instruments of political power. Gaius Marius, a general and reformer, had set a precedent by recruiting landless citizens into the army, thus creating a personal loyalty that extended beyond the state. His rival, Lucius Cornelius Sulla, exploited this dynamic further by marching on Rome with his army, setting a dangerous precedent for future military interventions in politics. The political landscape was further complicated by the First Triumvirate, an informal alliance between Julius Caesar, Pompey the Great, and Marcus Licinius Crassus. This alliance allowed these 3 men to dominate Roman politics, circumventing the traditional republican institutions. However, the triumvirate was inherently unstable, as it was based on the mutual ambitions of 3 powerful men rather than any genuine political consensus. The death of Crassus in 53 BCE and the subsequent death of Julia, Caesar's daughter and Pompey's wife, who had served as a political and familial link between the 2 men, left Caesar and Pompey as the primary power players in Rome. Their alliance quickly deteriorated into rivalry, exacerbated by the Senate's fear of Caesar's growing power and military success in Gaul. The Senate, led by conservative factions, increasingly aligned itself with Pompey, viewing him as a stabilizing force against Caesar's ambitions. Julius Caesar, a leader's rise and ambitions. Julius Caesar was born into a patrician family, the Gainzulia, which claimed descent from the Trojan prince Aeneas, and hence from the goddess Venus. Despite his noble lineage, Caesar's family was not wealthy, and his early career was marked by a series of calculated moves to gain wealth and influence. He was known for his exceptional oratory skills, political acumen, and military prowess. Caesar's military campaigns in Gaul, modern-day France, and Belgium were particularly significant in his rise to power. Over nearly a decade, he expanded Roman territory and accumulated vast wealth, which he used to pay off his debts and reward his soldiers, securing their loyalty. His commentaries on the Gallic War served both as a historical record and a tool of propaganda, portraying him as a defender of Rome's interests and an exceptional leader. The Senate, increasingly alarmed by Caesar's growing power, sought to curb his influence. In 50 BCE, the Senate, under the influence of Pompey and conservative leaders like Cato the Younger, issued an order for Caesar to disband his army and return to Rome as a private citizen. The Senate's demand was a political maneuver aimed at isolating Caesar and stripping him of his command and protections, effectively leaving him vulnerable to prosecution for various alleged crimes. The crossing of the Rubicon, a moment of decision. Faced with the Senate's ultimatum, Caesar had 2 options: comply and face possible political ruin, or defy the Senate and take decisive action. The Rubicon River, a small stream in northern Italy, marked the boundary between the Roman province of Cisalpine Gaul and Italy proper. By law, no general was allowed to cross this boundary with an army. Doing so was considered an act of war against the Senate and the Roman state. On January 10, 49 BCE, Caesar made his decision. Leading a single legion, the Legio XIII Gemina, he crossed the Rubicon. As he crossed, he is said to have uttered the famous phrase, "Alia iacta est," the die is cast. This phrase has since come to symbolize irreversible decisions with far-reaching consequences. The crossing of the Rubicon was a declaration of war against the Senate and Pompey, initiating a civil war that would change the course of Roman history. Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon was not just a military maneuver, but a calculated political act. He understood the risks involved, including being declared a public enemy, but he also knew that surrendering his command would likely lead to his political and possibly personal demise. The act of crossing the Rubicon was a bold assertion of his willingness to challenge the existing order and redefine the power structures within the Roman state. The Civil War, a struggle for control. The civil war that followed Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon was a complex and multifaceted conflict, involving not only Caesar and Pompey, but also various Roman factions, provinces, and foreign allies. Upon hearing of Caesar's advance, Pompey and many senators fled Rome, eventually regrouping in Greece, where they gathered their forces. Caesar moved swiftly and decisively, capturing key cities in Italy, including Ariminum, Pisorum, and Ancona, with minimal resistance. His strategy of clemency, toward captured soldiers and officials was both a practical and psychological tactic, aimed at winning hearts and minds and undermining Pompey's support base. This policy of leniency contrasted sharply with the more brutal tactics often employed in Roman civil conflicts. The pivotal battle of the Civil War occurred at Pharsalus in 48 BCE. Despite being outnumbered, Caesar's forces decisively defeated Pompey's army. Pompey fled to Egypt, where he was assassinated by agents of the Ptolemaic regime, which sought to curry favor with Caesar. This event marked a significant turning point, effectively leaving Caesar as the sole power in Rome. However, the war did not end with Pompey's death. Caesar pursued and defeated the remnants of Pompey's forces in various campaigns across the Roman territories, including North Africa and Spain. His victory in the Civil War allowed him to return to Rome and assume control as the de facto ruler of the Roman world. Caesar's reforms and the consolidation of power. Upon his return to Rome, Caesar faced the daunting task of consolidating his power and addressing the Republic's myriad problems. His approach was a combination of reform and centralization. Caesar was appointed dictator for a series of terms, and eventually as Dictator Perpetuo, dictator for life, a title that granted him unprecedented authority. One of Caesar's most significant reforms was the reorganization of the calendar. The Roman calendar was notoriously inaccurate, and Caesar, with the help of the Alexandrian astronomer Sosigenes, introduced the Julian calendar. This reform corrected the previous calendar's inaccuracies and established a system that would remain in use for over a millennium. Caesar also undertook a series of social and economic reforms. He enacted laws to relieve debt, regulated the distribution of subsidized grain, and initiated public works projects to employ the urban poor. Additionally, he reformed the Senate by increasing its membership to 900, including many provincial leaders and allies. This move was both a practical measure to better represent the expanding empire and a political strategy to dilute the power of the traditional senatorial elite. Despite these reforms, Caesar's concentration of power and his actions as dictator raised concerns among many Romans. The idea of a perpetual dictatorship conflicted with the deeply ingrained Roman aversion to monarchy, a sentiment rooted in the Republic's founding myth of overthrowing the last king, Tarquin the Proud. Caesar's acceptance of various honors and titles, including the wearing of the laurel wreath, further fueled suspicions that he aspired to kingship. The Ides of March, Caesar's assassination. The accumulation of power by Caesar, along with his reforms and perceived monarchical ambitions, led to growing discontent among the Senate and other political elites. This opposition coalesced into a conspiracy led by senators Gaius Cassius Longinus and Marcus Junius Brutus, both of whom had personal and political grievances against Caesar. On the Ides of March, March 15th, 44 BCE, the conspirators assassinated Caesar in the Senate House. According to historical accounts, Caesar was stabbed 23 times, and his death was a traumatic event for Rome. The conspirators justified their actions as a defense of the Republic, framing the assassination as a tyrannicide meant to restore traditional Republican liberties. However, the assassination did not achieve the conspirators' goals. Rather than restoring the Republic, Caesar's death led to further instability and conflict. The power vacuum left by his assassination sparked another series of civil wars, as various factions vied for control of Rome. The aftermath: the rise of the Roman Empire. Following Caesar's assassination, Rome was plunged into chaos. The conspirators, initially celebrated by some as liberators, quickly found themselves isolated and lacking broad support. Caesar's will named his grandnephew Gaius Octavius, later known as Augustus, as his primary heir, alongside his allies Mark Antony and Marcus Aemilius Lepidus. These three formed the Second Triumvirate, a formal political alliance that sought to avenge Caesar's death and consolidate power. The Second Triumvirate's pursuit of Caesar's assassins led to the defeat of the conspirators at the Battle of Philippi in 42 BCE. However, the alliance between Octavian, Antony, and Lepidus was inherently unstable. The triumvirs eventually turned on each other, leading to a final confrontation between Octavian and Antony, who had allied himself with Cleopatra, the Queen of Egypt. The decisive Battle of Actium in 31 BCE resulted in a victory for Octavian, who subsequently consolidated power as the sole ruler of Rome. In 27 BCE, Octavian was granted the title Augustus by the Senate, marking the beginning of the Roman Empire. Augustus established a system of governance that maintained the outward forms of the Republic but concentrated power in the hands of the emperor, effectively ending the Republican era. The Rubicon in historical memory and cultural significance. The crossing of the Rubicon by Julius Caesar has become an enduring symbol of bold action and irrevocable decisions. The phrase, "crossing the Rubicon," is now synonymous with making a choice from which there is no turning back. This historical moment has been the subject of numerous literary and artistic interpretations, reflecting its significance in Western cultural memory. In ancient Rome, the event was viewed with a mixture of awe and trepidation. It represented the moment when the old Republican order was irrevocably challenged, setting the stage for the establishment of imperial rule. The Rubicon's crossing was seen as both a daring act of defiance and a harbinger of the end of Republican liberties. In modern times, the story of Caesar and the Rubicon has been interpreted through various lenses, often reflecting contemporary concerns about leadership, governance, and the balance of power. For example, in political theory, the crossing of the Rubicon has been used to illustrate the dangers of executive overreach and the erosion of checks and balances in democratic systems. In literature and film, it has been portrayed as a moment of high drama, highlighting the moral and ethical dilemmas faced by leaders in times of crisis. The historical and political legacy of Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar's impact on Roman history and the broader Western world cannot be overstated. His actions not only reshaped the political landscape of Rome, but also influenced the course of Western civilization. The reforms he implemented, particularly in governance, military organization, and public infrastructure, had lasting effects on the Roman state and its successor, the Roman Empire. Caesar's crossing of the Rubicon and the subsequent civil war also had profound implications for the Roman concept of leadership and authority. The traditional Republican ideals of collective governance and checks on individual power were fundamentally challenged by Caesar's actions and the establishment of the imperial system. This shift laid the groundwork for a new political culture in which the emperor held supreme authority, often justified by a combination of military power and claims to divine favor. The legacy of Julius Caesar extends beyond the realm of politics and governance. His life and career have been the subject of extensive scholarly study and popular fascination. Caesar's own writings, particularly his commentaries, offer invaluable insights into his military strategies, political thinking, and personal philosophy. These works have been studied for centuries as exemplars of Latin prose and as primary sources for understanding Roman history. Moreover, Caesar's life has inspired countless works of art, literature, and drama. Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar, for instance, explores themes of ambition, power, and betrayal, capturing the enduring relevance of Caesar's story. The play's depiction of Caesar's assassination and the moral complexities faced by the conspirators continue to resonate with audiences, offering a timeless reflection on the nature of political power and human ambition. Conclusion: the crossing of the Rubicon by Julius Caesar in 49 BCE was a defining moment in Roman history, marking the end of the Roman Republic and the beginning of the Roman Empire. This bold and irrevocable act set off a chain of events that transformed the political landscape of Rome and had lasting repercussions for Western civilization. Caesar's actions challenged the traditional republican order, reshaped Roman governance, and established new norms of leadership and authority. The legacy of Julius Caesar is multifaceted, encompassing his military and political achievements, his reforms, and his contributions to Roman culture and literature. His life and career continue to be the subject of scholarly study and public fascination, reflecting the enduring impact of his actions on history and society. The story of the Rubicon serves as a powerful symbol of decisive action and the consequences of bold decisions, reminding us of the complex interplay between power, ambition, and morality in the shaping of human history. Thanks for listening. Like and comment. Please subscribe as it helps our channel grow so that we can reach more viewers. See you next time. Stay curious.